All right, church family, good morning. You made it to July. Today is July the 1st, and I want to bring you another midweek encouragement as we roll into not March, not April, not May, not June, but July, the 5th calendar month of having to live in this brave new world with all of its new conditions and new feelings that it brings about and everything else. And I wanted to share with you something that has been on my heart the past few days. We've been talking a lot about our identity in Jesus and placing our identity in Jesus and letting Him guide us in the what to do's and how to think and how to feel in this world of technology and coronavirus and an election year and race and the Black Lives Matter movement and neighbors on all sides of us who feel strongly, but in very different ways. And we ourselves torn between different feelings and what would God have us to do? And all those questions and problems that we've talked a lot about. And I was thinking the last couple days about a lesson that actually the first place I learned it was the Army, the chaplaincy. Taught me about this idea of a ministry of presence. And I think it was so radical and so revolutionary for me, probably as for most Americans, because we are such a task-oriented society. So here's a problem. What do I do? How do I fix it? What do I need to do? That's at least the way I'm wired, and a lot of people I speak with seem to be wired the same way. That we got things to do and we got to do them, and we make a list and we check it twice, and we got to get everything off our list. And if there's any, room, if we have any margin left, then hey, we fill it with things to do because there's always stuff to do. There's plenty to do. Even if we don't try to do things that need done come calling out to us. I'll give you an example from yesterday. So yesterday I had plenty to do. I had some church stuff I needed to get done. I had a lot of army stuff that needs to get done, just training and checking the box with different things that still go on in the virtual world. I had some school stuff I needed to get done. And then you still got family and all this. Well, yesterday afternoon, Elena called me and said that she was driving to the library. She was taking the kids to the library, and she had a tire blowout on Decker. So I had just sat down at my desk. Just sat down to get some stuff done, and she has this blowout. So derailed. My afternoon is derailed, and I go and I help change the tire, load up the old tire in the back of the van, take it to a tire shop, get a new tire put on. Takes about an hour. I can get a couple things done while I'm waiting. Go pick up the tire, come back. Well, now we're pushing dinner time and leading up into prayer meeting and all this. So, you do those things, right? Well, then you go home and then there's things to do at home with kids and, spending time with your kids. That's something you want to do. Spending time with your wife. That's something you want to do. You do those things. You put everybody to sleep. And there's more school and there's more army and there's more church still to be done. So, after bedtime, you're burning the midnight oil to get those things done. And then you wake up after a few hours of sleep and you're back at it, baby. There's more to be done. And it just never ends. And so my theory is that part of the struggling for us is that there's just so much to do. And we want to do something in this season that God's calling us to do and that honors Him. But golly, we got all this other stuff to do. And so we've got to get rid of some of that so that we can do this. And what does God want us to do? And here's a thought I had. A lesson from Jesus and the Army and your pastor passing on to you. Matthew 26. Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane. He's on the eve of his crucifixion, and he's spending his last earthly moments before this penultimate event of his life with his disciples. And he asked them to do one very simple thing. Verse 36, then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, here's what he asked them to do. Sit here. Just sit here. Just be with me. Just be with me while I go over there and pray. And he took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee along with him and began to be sorrowful and troubled. And he said to them, he's expressing the state of his soul at that moment. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Can you just, and he reiterates it again, stay here. Sit here and keep watch with me. And going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and he prayed, my Father, if it's possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will. And then he returned to his disciples and he found them doing what? You already know the answer. Sleeping. All he asked them to do was be with him, sit with him, stay with him. And they couldn't do it. They were tired. Found them sleeping. So he wakes them up and says, watch and pray. Just be with me. Pray with me so that you won't fall into temptation. He goes away a second time. He prays again and he comes back and he found them sleeping because they're tired. So one revolutionary lesson that I keep relearning over and over again because it does not come natural to my Americanized mind and spirit is the impact and the importance of just being with people. Just being with them. Sit here with me. Stay here. Just pray with me. One story that a senior chaplain told me when I was a young lieutenant was this ornery, difficult hospital patient in this hospital that he worked in as a chaplain. And people would go in and they'd try to help him and he'd just, holler and scream and throw things and just be belligerent. So he says, I prayed before I went in there and the Lord brought Matthew 26 to my mind. Just be with them. Just sit with them. So he says, I go in and I don't say a word. I just pull up a chair close to his bed. He's watching TV. And so I just sit and I watch TV with him. And I just do that for about an hour. And I don't ask to pray with him or anything. I just sit with him. And after about an hour, I look at him and I just kind of pat him gently on the arm and I get out and I leave. And he said, for most of that, I was uncomfortable. But this patient, this belligerent, ornery patient, calls someone at the hospital and says, that chaplain that came to visit me was the best caretaker I've ever seen. And he said, all I did was just sit with the guy. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. I just sat with him. And so one of the things the Lord's putting on my heart that I'll pass on to you is just the power of presence. Last Wednesday in my video, I've talked about being people of faith means trusting the Lord to lead you to people. I don't plan this stuff necessarily. Things just happen. And I trust in faith as I live by faith, like we talked about Sunday, that God is leading my journey and he's got me here for a reason. And sometimes I don't know what that reason is. But just the power of presence, just the ministry of sitting here, being here, listening, perhaps, just the power of your presence as a person of God with other people. So I don't know what that looks like for you. I don't know who that is in your life, but may we trust God to do great things, even just by our presence. We don't have to say anything. We don't have to do anything sometimes, but just sit here while I go over there and pray. Can you just stay here and keep watch with me? Pray with me. God can use something as simple as our physical presence with people without ever saying a word. So as you live by faith, continue to trust God and just remember the power of being with people. And may we build into our time, build into our days, the time to just be with people. Give God the freedom to move us about as he sees fit and as he needs to. And in his sovereignty, he'll lead us to people who need him, and we can just be with them, and they make a big difference. So I love you, praying for you. Hope you have a good week, and as always, continue to reach out if you need anything. If we can bless you at all. So God bless you. We'll see you Sunday morning.